that, like, sorry, this is part two. I didn't realize I was talking for so long. But I felt so seen after talking to my ex, and it's like, my phone ran into storage too. It's so low, but I felt so seen because it's like, you're the one who gets it, right? Without being judgmental. You know, I can't take my kids back. I can't, undo those things, but you understand that point of being like, I miss myself, before. Okay, I miss the whole version of myself, the parts that I didn't have to close off, where I was just kind of free to live and have fun and whatever. And that's fine. Like, I was cool with being married. I'm not saying or whatever that you shouldn't get married. I'm not saying that marriage sucks. I'm just saying that the things that I thought would come from being married, the type of fun that I wanted to have with a significant other, the type of adventures I wanted to go on as a family, everything like that. Literally, all those people who are saying, like, you need to really pay attention to the type of partner that you're trying to choose. It's so much more, like, the weight of that is so much more than what anybody could ever imagine, right? And because after I got done talking to him and, like, finally being like, oh my gosh, somebody understands, I went home and I talked to my husband, like, immediately. And, he was sprawled out on the couch and he's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm just thinking about everything that I let go to be with you. Like, it was one thing when we were living kind of close to the people, close to my hometown, and everything that I was used to. Even when we moved, like, the next state over, it was like, oh, okay, still kind of close by, whatever. And so I had everything that I was used to, the food that I like, the type of people who I like to interact with, the places that I like to go, decent schools that I wanted to be in, my doctor's offices, jobs-wise. At that time, it wasn't much of, like, I didn't, I was still comfortable, very much comfortable. Even when, we would kind of get into a disagreement, it's like, I still have things that I can do or go and turn to that still make life palpable, still make it fun, still make it where I can kind of take away the stressors and stuff like that. But moving away from all of that has opened my eyes to the type, because, like, before he'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not used to this, or, I haven't done this. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, come on, let's go have a good time, right? I would pay for the events. The kids and I, we would go out. Well, and my husband, like, we would all go out and we'd have fun. And he'd be like, wow, this is so much fun. Never done anything like this. And I'd be like, yeah, cool, we can make this a thing. And, like, being out there, I could, because they were events that were local to the area. And now that we've moved away from that, I mean, states away, it's been like 15 hours, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are not close to anything. And being away from that, and I'm like, okay, let's go do stuff. And he just shows no interest. And I'm like, oh, well, instead he would rather cope using his own forms, which I'll get into in a different video, but he'd rather cope. And I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'm watching people, like, live their lives, or the kids, they like to watch Mr. Beast, and so they'll watch Mr. Beast and they'll see him, and I'm like, he's ice climbing and going to different islands and having fun with his friends. And I mean, granted, it's for entertainment purposes, but it's like, I'm actively out on TikTok and YouTube and I'm watching people live their lives, and I can't get you to fill out some paperwork or do something basic. And it's just like, I don't want to be held up or even, like, running into financial issues. And it's like, there is so much of life to explore, and I gave up everything that I was exploring to be here with you under the guise that, like, you'd kind of have this excitement and the similar lust for life, considering the type of background that he has. And I was like, okay, let's go do it. And coming away from all of that and really being like the initiator for that type of stuff, at least for in my area, has opened my eyes to be like, you're not necessarily the person who I thought you were, right? You sold me on a lot of things, but you're not necessarily the type of person who I expected you to be. And that's completely fine. If this is how you want to be, that's fine. We're just different people. And I don't know if we can continue, you know? Of course, there's some basic things that we like to enjoy. You know, we're both into like anime type stuff and other things like that, but we share some common interests. But like, it's so much more than that. And that's why I called my ex, to just have somebody to talk to who understood what I was talking about, because he's still back in that same area. So he knows. He's like, oh yeah, we did doop 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 doop. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, and that's the type of person you are. Yeah. You know, you recognize that within me. You know me. Right? I mean, unfortunately, whatever, wouldn't work out, but just like you get what I'm trying to put forth. And when I try to put that forth to my husband, he doesn't get it, and he doesn't have the interest, and that hurts my feelings. And the more and more that I think about this stuff, I'm trying to check how long this video is. The more and more that I think about this stuff, it's like the disrespect. Like, there's certain things that I'm gonna have to do another video on this, but the type of disrespect that comes with that on so many levels, when I have to be the one who carries like most of the burden on my shoulders, is like, it's like you're disrespecting me so much that I've started to build myself back up. And the more that I build myself back up and reopen the things, not the bad habits, but when I reopen myself back up to all the good things that I like to do and enjoy, and recognize that how much of that stuff that I've been missing out on, the less and less I feel like, you know, we have the ability to reconnect and really get back to where it was we once were. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but I don't know, it might be the end, or at least it might be nearing the end for us. And I know he doesn't want that, and it's not like I ever wanted that, because I plan to marry for life. But the more and more I go through the motions, the more and more that I recognize that the basis that I had for marriage really needed a lot more consideration than what I initially thought. I don't know. I'll talk about this more in more videos coming, but you know, this video's long enough, so I'll see you guys.